Jets fans cannot be happy with the performance of Ryan Fitzpatrick this season. He's already thrown 10 interceptions, 9 in just the last 2 games, resulting in the Jets having a 1-3 record, tied for worst in the AFC East. Fitzpatrick's poor performance is leading many to question if Geno Smith, who hasn't started since 2014, should be given the job back. Hello, Mark Schlereth.
Hello, how are
you doing?
I'm good.
What do you think? Fitzy's job on the line?
Well, I think your job is always on the line when you don't play well. I mean, obviously, I would look at the Jets as an organization and going, if Geno Smith can't get into a game after Fitzpatrick has thrown 9 picks in the last 2, how much do you hate Geno Smith? I mean, why is he on your roster? If you can't put him in, if you can't say, hey, Fitzpatrick, listen, man, it's not going your way today. You've thrown 5 picks. You know what? Why don't you come over here, sit on the sideline a little bit? Let's let Geno go ahead and finish this game up. If you can't even make that move at that point, then why is he on your roster? And, oh, by the way, Bryce Petty is hurt. You draft Christian Hackenberg. Have you not developed a quarterback that you feel consistent about or that you feel good enough about to put in a game when your starter is really struggling? I'm not just saying bench him. I'm saying pull him and say, man, listen, man, tough day. It didn't go your way today. But they don't even have the faith in Geno to do that. It really shows you from a personnel department what they're giving Todd Bowles, the head coach, to work with if they don't feel comfortable putting Geno Smith in a game in the last 2 weeks. So my question again would be, why is he on your roster? If you can't stand him that much, why is he even on your roster?
100%. And by the way, Geno Smith didn't get a long-term deal. First, he didn't get the money he wanted, then he didn't get the years he wanted, and there's a reason for that. It's because he hasn't been a very good quarterback throughout his career. He's a competent NFL quarterback, a very good backup, and as a starter, you're probably looking for someone a little bit better. If, you know, he doesn't look like a long-term, never been a long-term answer to anyone's franchise. He's turnover-prone, obviously. 9 interceptions in like a half a second. Yeah, the other guy should be starting. And the thing is, since you don't have long-term plans for Fitzpatrick, since if you lose this week, you're probably not going to make the playoffs, and since at least Geno Smith has shown flashes at times, why wouldn't you start him? It doesn't make any sense. I think absolutely Fitzpatrick's job should be on the line this weekend.
It makes perfect sense why you wouldn't start Geno Smith. Geno Smith is 11-18 as a starter in New York. His QBRs in the 2 seasons that he played was 38 and 44. Enough said. New York doesn't believe in him. New Yorkers don't want him. Plus, you went out and you drafted, you drafted Bryce Petty. You drafted this guy Hackenberg out of Penn State. And so the fact of the matter is you've got 3 quarterbacks on your roster where none of them may work for you. I like McCagnon a lot. I'm really fond of him. But these are the kind of questions that have to be answered. Whether it's him, it's Bowles, or both. Something's wrong with that picture when you are looking at a Ryan Fitzpatrick. You got 3 other quarterbacks, and you ain't thinking about playing any of them. Now, in Ryan Fitzpatrick's defense, I will say this. You got the 6 interceptions against Kansas City. Deplorable performance, no doubt about that. But those 3 interceptions he threw last week, I thought were a relative misnomer. One of those interceptions went right through the hands of his receiver. The other one was a desperation heave near the end of the game. So to me, those 2 don't really count. What we really come down to is that Ryan Fitzpatrick had a very, very bad game against Kansas City. I don't think we should be looking at him as his job security at all unless he comes out and stinks up the joint with another 4, 5, 6 interception performance. If barring something like that, I don't see that you have a better option in a Jets uniform at this particular moment in time.
Right, that's why his job's on the line. If he plays poorly, then he should be yanked.
Well, he should be, but if you
don't... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, if you have no faith in the guys that you have on your roster, why are they on the roster? Here's the other thing, man, that doesn't get enough attention in this day and age of the National Football League, and this is a big issue. And this is where some franchises set themselves apart, and other franchises continue to struggle along the way. It's not just drafting guys. The most important part is developing guys, and it's really hard to do nowadays because you don't get to practice anymore. You don't get the time. You don't get that. So you better have guys on your staff that know how to develop a player and get that player up to speed quickly without that practice time. And, you know, the franchises that are doing it right now, the Denver Broncos have done a great job. New England is always exceptional at this. They draft, but more importantly, they develop. You can't develop a quarterback that you feel comfortable with in 2 weeks when your quarterback has thrown 9 interceptions. You got issues.
And by the way, how do you develop a guy if he never gets out on the field? If he's on your, why is he on your roster? That's the first part, right?
Right.
And secondly, he doesn't get any more experience. He's never on the field. Let's not pretend Geno Smith didn't also have some pretty good games in the NFL. He has.
Right.
And Ryan Fitzpatrick, Stephen A., has been good throughout his entire career for a grand total of 2 seasons. Not great, good for 2 years out of his whole career.
I would ask both of you this, and maybe
What are the good games? What are the good games you're talking about with Geno Smith?
You want me to tell you the dates off the top of my head? Geno Smith, the
Well,
last time he actually started for the Jets, threw like 3 touchdowns.
Off the top of my head, I've seen him had good moments. It's rare in a day that I saw us on a Monday morning talking about, hey, Geno really, really looked good. He's had good moments, but a good game?
Yes.
Schlereth, you know
games.
better than me. You recall him having a good game?
well, listen, I'm sure that he's probably had a decent game. I would never put him in the upper echelon of anything. Here's the one thing that would bother me, and it's bothered me, and you two would know better than I, because you probably heard more than I. But when your quarterback, who at the time was your starting quarterback, gets jacked in the jaw in the locker room in training camp, and I didn't hear one dude on that roster say, like, hey, man, that's a problem. Like, when I didn't hear one guy come to his defense, that says to me, you got a guy in your locker room that people don't respect. And those guys, you can't give an opportunity to start if nobody respects the guy. And I don't know, maybe they did come to his defense, but I didn't hear one guy basically complain about that.
One thing he is in the upper echelon of, Mark, is Jets quarterbacks. He's in the upper echelon of Jets quarterbacks. Geno Smith.
That pretty much says it all right there.
All right, Jets
I don't think so.
at Heinz Field this weekend. Hey, at least they're in New York. Mark, you're sticking around. Our favorite debates here on First Take and barbershops everywhere across America. LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. The latest to weigh in on it is LeBron's former teammate and good friend Dwayne Wade. When asked if James could ever surpass MJ's greatness, Wade responded with this: "It's not possible. Can't go past it. How can you? That's as great as it gets. The only thing you can do, like I said, is be A1, AB. There's no way higher." So let's take a look at how the two stack up when we only look at what they've done at this point in their lives at the age of 31. They're actually pretty even when it comes to NBA titles, finals MVPs, and LeBron actually has one more regular season MVP title. The main difference, Jordan doesn't have the 4 finals losses. Stephen A., were you surprised, Wade saying this, that his boy couldn't surpass MJ?
I was a bit surprised because I didn't expect him to be that candid. I mean, he loves LeBron James. They're brothers. They're incredibly, incredibly tight. And nothing about that has changed nor will ever change. As a matter of fact, D-Wade butted heads with Pat Riley upon LeBron James' departure from South Beach because Riley's old school. The minute LeBron James left, LeBron was the enemy. And he wanted everyone in the Miami Heat organization to adopt that mentality as LeBron James being the enemy. And D-Wade doesn't play that game. That's not who he is. He and I spoke about that personally on several occasions. That's not who he is. LeBron James is his brother for life, and that's just the way it's going to be. And even though LeBron James has friends like Chris Paul's the godfather to his sons, and, you know, he's tight with Melo and what have you, outside of Randy, Maverick, and Rich, nobody's closer to LeBron than you know, D-Wade along with CP3. And so please understand that. Having said all of that, I still can't deny the fact that D-Wade is absolutely right. Let's just call it what it is. LeBron James is the best player in the world. LeBron James belongs on the Mount Rushmore in NBA annals when you consider some of the things that he's been able to accomplish. He's not finished yet, but he never has, nor will he ever be Michael Jordan. And that is the reality. What LeBron James grew and matured into, MJ was that killer coming into the league. He just didn't have the parts to help him. That same dude that Larry Bird called the closest thing to God when he dropped 63 on Boston in just his second year in the league in the playoffs, that's Michael Jordan. That was never LeBron James. And so when you look at it from that perspective, let's also understand the biggest component. This is the biggest reason that we all have to undeniably agree with Dwayne Wade without any compunction whatsoever. I don't care if LeBron wins 4 more rings. LeBron James has 4 NBA Finals losses. Michael Jordan was 6 for 6 with 6 NBA Finals MVPs and never, ever, ever even allowed a series in the finals to reach a 7th game. I'm going to repeat that. There was never a Game 7. No matter what greatness we've seen from Michael Jordan, I have always contended that the greatest of Michael Jordan we would have ever seen is if Michael Jordan was pressed with his back against the wall with a championship on the line in a Game 7 of an NBA Finals. And that's the one thing Michael Jordan robbed us of because he never allowed a series to get to a Game 7. That is a fact. And because of that reality, let's be clear, LeBron James never has, nor will he ever be Michael Jordan. He's great. He's great. Greatest small forward ever. But he would never be MJ.
Yeah, no, he's
and
not.
I appreciate Dwayne Wade telling the truth.
He's not Michael Jordan. This did not surprise me because Dwayne Wade plays in Chicago. So, first of all, as you just made the case, Stephen A., Jordan was better than LeBron anyway. And by the way, kids who love LeBron so much, and you have every reason to, he's an amazingly great player. It's hard to imagine when you're looking at LeBron there was ever a guy better than that. But I'm here to tell you that there absolutely was a guy decisively and clearly better than LeBron James. Let me just tell you that the more advanced the metrics, the more they study it, the more Jordan holds up over LeBron James, even for a career average. Don't forget, LeBron is maybe in slight decline, but he doesn't have like Jordan's Wizards years to factor in yet. And yet, even then, career averages, Jordan better than LeBron by the most sophisticated, advanced metrics. He totally holds up. Now, for those who would say, well, look, the MVP edge goes to LeBron. LeBron has deserved many more than 4 MVPs, and Jordan deserved many more than the 3 that he gotten by that point. Jordan really deserved about 10 MVPs. LeBron probably already deserves 7 or 8 of them. But for those who would say, yeah, well, Jordan is 6 for 6 in the finals, and at this point had 3 finals wins, and LeBron has 3, but LeBron has all those finals losses. Look, LeBron was getting to the finals. Jordan wasn't. Let me just say this again. I've made this case in the past, but I want to be clear about this. Michael Jordan, the first time he played with another All-Star, no one can win a championship without another All-Star. The first time he played with another All-Star was Scottie Pippen's first All-Star year. They took the defending champion Pistons 7 games that year and lost because Pippen couldn't play in Game 7. Now, if you look at the numbers, Pippen was not yet in his prime. It was just his first All-Star appearance. The following year, Pippen entered his prime. His PER jumped to prime levels, for example. At that point, Jordan never didn't win a finals in under 7 games, as Stephen A. points out. They ended the Pistons 4 straight games the very next year. Well, Jordan didn't have to play these great teams. I hear a lot of younger people talking about this, too. Jordan had to play. Okay. Malone, Stockton, Hornacek, a great coach. That's not a great team. What about the season before when the Orlando Magic had won 60 games with a prime Shaq and Penny? And Jordan swept them out the year he came back, swept them out of the playoffs, and followed that up with a win against the Seattle team that won over 60 games. LeBron is amazing. Jordan was better. It's the way it is. Dwayne Wade is acknowledging that. Stephen A., it doesn't surprise me because of where he's playing.
The other thing is, well, he said it before as well. That wasn't the first time he said that about LeBron and Jordan. That was long before he arrived in Chicago. He said that before. Number 2. Well, some of these people, they point out that, you know, well, MJ went to 6 finals, but doesn't that mean he lost in earlier rounds? Stephen A's not getting it, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell y'all something. Does everybody remember that when Jordan came into the league, the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers were the stars? You had Larry Bird with McHale and Parrish and Ainge and Henderson and all of these boys. You had Magic with Worthy and Kareem and Rambis and everybody else in L.A., okay? There was a hiccup that, you know, you got the Sixers in '83 prior to that. You got the Pistons interrupting the proceedings. He had to go against stiffer competition. But still in all, he went to 2 consecutive NBA finals before three-peating. So, and that's fourth, like you said. Conference finals. I'm sorry. You got to remember, Pippen, like you said, couldn't play that Game 7 the year before they won their first championship. Then in 1993-94, Jordan was out. That didn't count. 95, he came back with 17 games left in the regular season and had lost to Shaq and them in Orlando because he had only been back for 17 games and then three-peated. So legitimately, if Jordan hadn't left the game of basketball, Jordan would have gone to and possibly won 8 straight NBA championships in an era where you couldn't get called for a foul for passing gas.
You know what you pointed out?
Excuse me.
You know,
it's
and
not
this is
the
the
same.
upshot. LeBron sometimes is screwed up, doesn't win the championship. Michael Jordan was the one guy in NBA history. Give him a shot. Just put anything around him. Give him one other all-star, and he never doesn't win the championship. One other all-star, and he never doesn't win the championship.